Hey guys, Carolyn Scott here. I hope everyone's having a great summer, having fun and staying safe. Uh, with the pandemic going on, I found myself on my computer a lot more than I normally am over the summer, trying to prep different things. And really and truly, I've gotten excited about creating new things and problem solving and things like that. Um, I did get a chance to play around with one app that I wanted to share with you guys today and just send out to you in an email. So I'm going to do that in just a second. But before I do, I wanted to tell you about an idea I had. Now, whether or not admin will be on board, I'm not sure, but I just wanted to put it out there. I noticed during digital learning that, there were a lot of questions. I had questions, people who had less tech savviness had questions. People had tons of tech savviness had questions, lots and lots of questions, and everyone was doing their best to answer each other as best they could. But just like with our kids, we're all very different types of learners. So you'd have Miss Brown send out this nice walkthrough with screenshots, but it wouldn't help everybody. So then someone else would follow it up with a video walkthrough or something like that. Uh, Again, nothing wrong with it. That's amazing, awesome, wonderful. You guys rock. And it was all very helpful. Uh, but my thought was, we got it through email, and some of it I know Miss Brown did add to various places on eClass, but I don't think all of it got added. And not to mention, let's be honest, a lot of teachers don't go on eClass onto the training page and look at those walkthroughs, how-tos when they need them. Uh, Not blaming anybody there. I've been guilty of it myself. It's just something we're not really used to doing yet. So my thought was, what if we had some kind of document in my mind, excuse me, that is a Google Slides document where we can each act as contributors uh, in the same way that people were making things throughout digital learning to help other people. So that's what you see on the screen now, and it's just a mock-up at the moment. And if admin approves it, I'll go ahead and post it or have one of them post it to the certified staff folder, and you'll get an email about where it's located so you can uh, check in with it when you need to, whenever you're looking for something, or if you have an idea or come across something new you want to add. That's great. All right, so essentially, that just tells you what I said. We would have a table of contents, so eClass, go to this page. Nearpod, go to this page. Actively Learn, go to this page. And you would just click, and it would take you there. I guess I don't have all of these linked yet, but you get the idea. They'll be linked. This is actually the app I'm going to talk to you about, wanted to shout out about today. So yeah, I'm going to be creating this. It's going to have a section for each thing that we already talk about often, I guess. Although I may miss some things. I don't have enough time to cover everything either. So I may put it on here and then ask for contributors to go in there and actually do the video walkthroughs or the screenshots and explanations. I will look through the eClass LMS training page for any walkthrough information, important information there, and link it in to this Google Slides as well. That way, it's not like the work on eClass was for nothing. It would actually just be a one-stop shop. Instead of looking here, 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 well, now we have one place. I hope that makes sense. It does in my head. If you guys don't like it, I'm sorry. We don't have to do it. I may just make it for myself, but I figure if I'm doing the work for me, and there's a lot of work to be done with this stuff, and people are willing to help out, why not? So more on that later after I finish creating basically the outline and then sending it to admin for approval. What I'm here for today is something that a former LMS teacher told me about a couple years ago, Miss Caitlin Wilson. I downloaded this app to my phone, and having taught on the EL Academy last year, I used it, but it wasn't as effective as it could have been because I didn't know all that it could do, to be honest. I also know there were some parts of it that, since we didn't have Outlook initially, that I could not make happen with my laptop and the smartboard. So I was using Google Translate for that because I could type or speak into Google Translate and it would type it to the board and speak it aloud as needed, which is good. Google Translate's good, but guys, Microsoft Translator, so much better. It can do so much more. All right, so here's the app. It's free. Whether you have iPhone or Android, you just go to your app store, type in Microsoft Translator, and download it. Once you downloaded it and open it, you will get a screen that looks like this. Okay. I'm going to clean this up before I post this. These are some videos that show you what it does, but if I click this button here, it's going to take me to a page where I can speak in English, because that's the only language I know, and have it translate whatever I've spoken into a different language. And the translation will come up in writing, and it will also say it. All right, so pretty cool, but that's still, Google Translate already does that. All right, the next thing is very similar to Google Translate. You click here, you can type whatever it is you want to say in your language, and then have it translate it to a second language. And you have to select which language you want it translated to. I will go back to this one on the speaking one. There is a part in there. If I click on here, there's another button I can click. It's got like two microphones side by side. If I click on that and I set up the two languages we're using, English up top, the other language on the bottom, or vice versa, whenever I speak, I'll click the button up here. And whenever the other person speaks, they click the button down here. All right? So that's something that's a little bit different than Google Translate. Okay, these two are really different than Google Translate. You have the camera down here. If I click on the camera, it's going to open up my camera, and I have to give it permission, which is fine. It doesn't do anything weird to your phone. It just wants permission to take pictures with your phone. All right, so I click on that, I give it permission to take pictures, and then I point it at something, anything with writing. Sorry, a wasp just came at me. Then I select a language to have the writing translated into, and it does. The only problem I see with this little camera icon or the camera function is that there can't be too many words. It also has to be clearly written. So, some of our kiddos, even some of us, have not so great handwriting. And when that happens, you may not get accurate translations, or it may not translate it at all. But if it's typed out, or if it's nicely written and there's not too much clutter on the page, it does a fabulous job. It really does. All right, here is the function that I am truly the most excited about using this year, as I did not use it last year. This is the conversation button. When I click on this, I have two options. Let's see. Those options are over here. I can join a conversation, or I can start a conversation. If I select start a conversation, it's going to ask me for my name, what language I speak, and it might also ask me if this is for a class. If I click yes on that, it's going to put me into presenter mode, which means that other people can't chime in as easily. So I don't know. I may just stick with keeping it out of presenter mode unless I know for sure I'm the only person that's going to be talking. So if I'm giving just directions and I don't expect them to have any questions, then I'll keep it in presenter mode. Otherwise, I like keeping the dialogue open. All right, so if I click there, name, language spoken, if it's for a class, submit or whatever it says, or start, then it's going to generate a code. It'll give you the code just in letters, kind of like Nearpod. It'll also give you a little QR thing that they can scan if they have that function on their device. It'll also give you the option to, if you click this right here, you can actually email it out or send it to people. That's not as useful in the classroom really, but maybe parent-teacher conferences, or if you use it, in other facets of your life, that might be beneficial. All right, so I've started a conversation. I'm actually going to do that now real quick on my phone. And while I'm doing this on my phone, I'm actually pretending that I speak Spanish because I want you to see what happens. So when I click Spanish on my phone, everything that pops up for me is going to be in Spanish, okay? Doesn't matter if the person who spoke was speaking in Vietnamese, Arabic, English, it's going to come up in Spanish for me because I selected Spanish. All right, so I started a conversation. You can't see it yet. The cool thing about this is it can also be accessed on your computer. You Google Microsoft Translator Conversations. Let me actually do that for you so you can see. All right. Click here. Now, if I want to start a conversation, I do need to use my Microsoft login. And since we have Outlook, guys, that should not be a problem. You should be able to click there. But in this case, I already did that from my phone. So I'm going to go to join conversation here. Again, this is backwards from what I would do in class. In class, I would start the conversation from my teacher laptop so that I could present it on the board if it was whole class anyway. If I was doing like a parent-teacher conference or talking to a student one-on-one and needed this to help with that, I might just use my device. But if I'm doing this with my whole class, I'm going to start the conversation from my laptop. I am only doing it different this time because I want you to be able to see what it looks like. By the way, the kids can also join conversations from our laptops. They can do it from their phones too if they download the app, but they can also do it from LMS laptop devices. All right, conversation code. That's the code that was generated when I started a conversation. I did that on my phone, and the code that it generated was TYRIQ. I put my name, since I put that as my name over here, I'm going to put my last name. So this will be like a student. A student is entering the code, they're putting their name, and they're selecting the language that they speak. So since I started the conversation as a person who spoke Spanish, I am going to do the language over here is English. All right, it's loading. It tells you the participants here, okay? Presenter mode. If you click this on, the computer will pick up anything and everything you say. You don't have to press this button. It's just going to be continuously recording you. Now, as long as this is off, this is on, this is off. See, this is on. If this is on, no one else can speak. If I turn it off, I can speak and it won't pick up what I'm saying unless I click on this. I can also choose, to type. Now, all of this is popping up for me in English because I chose my language as English. Now I want you to see what happens when I'm going to be hands off of my laptop for a minute. I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to record something in Spanish. Please forgive me because I am not a Spanish speaker, but I want you to see how it looks on this side. So the laptop that I'm recording on is set to English, and the phone, my phone that I'm about to speak into, is set to Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cuántos? Porque yo dije. Tu cuaderno. All right, so you heard me speak the limited Spanish that I can speak. You see that it came up on the computer in English, right? But if I look at my cell phone, it came up in Spanish. And everything that I set up here on my cell phone is also in Spanish. It works with any language that they have available. And this is the cool part. You could have, I think, 30 people in this conversation. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it's somewhere up there, right? And they could all be speaking different languages, and it still works the same. Now, as a teacher, if I start the conversation from my teacher laptop, which is plugged into the smart board, and I set my language to English, the kids can have their own device with the app or be using a student laptop using the same website I'm using now and just joining with the code. They'll be seeing everything that was said in their native language. But then they can look up at the board and they can see also everything that was said in English. So it kind of adds that extra level of scaffolding for language proficiency. I think it's cool. I'm sure that some of you already knew that you could do this with Microsoft Translator. I had no idea. And I'm very, very, very excited to have it as a tool walking back into this school year. All right, let's see. Oh, I want to show you real quick. I know we got big on recording things and things like that during digital learning. Once you're finished, let's say I have this open all class long. We're doing our activity. I give instructions. We're doing activities. Kids can reach out with questions through their device, and it'll pop up to me, and I can answer in English, and they'll understand their language, blah, 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 right? Or we can have a class discussion, a class debate, whatever. At the end, whenever class is over and I'm done using this, I can go to settings. And by the way, you can do a few things over here too. I can play speech out. Not sure what that is. I can change the font size. Some of you guys have students that need larger font, so we can do that. But here's what I was talking about. Save script or save transcript. All right. I don't know if you saw it, but it popped up down here. I open it up. I know it looks a little weird because it's a notepad, but if you look closely, it has the date, the time, people, the time they spoke, what they said, what language they said it in, all the way down. So you can just come back up here, file, save as, and you can have a whole file folder filled with your translated Microsoft Translator conversations. So if you ever need to go back to it, if unfortunately a kid did something inappropriate, or a kid says, oh, they never said that. Well, you can go back in, pull it up, there it is. Or if you forget, if you told a class something, you can go back in, pull it up, there it is. So lots of good things about that. If you didn't know about it, I definitely recommend playing around with it some this summer just to get used to it, especially if you are in a situation where you're teaching a lot of English language learners. I think that this could be a very empowering tool, not just for us, but for them also. We do have to, make sure it's used appropriately, but, I think we know how to do that. And if we just set the tone early on, for the most part, everything should be okay. If you have any questions about this app, how to find it, how to get started, feel free to email me. And like I said, as it pertains to the tech tools, a guide for LMS teachers, Google Slides that I am working to get started, I will send out an email later on before school starts back, after I get approval from admin and see what their thoughts are on it. Admin and Miss Brown, really, because this is her wheelhouse. All right, guys, have a great rest of the summer. See you soon. Bye.